Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli wa nusallimu ala rasulihil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Dear viewers, welcome back. We see in nature the mama bird in her nest with her fledglings, just hatched out of the eggs. It's been a few days. And one of the fledglings looks over the edge of the nest, looks down at the chasm below it, in the tree, down towards the ground. It seems like there are miles between this little fledgling and the ground. And it's scared, and it's apprehensive, and it's anxious, and its heart is beating really fast. It doesn't have the courage to venture beyond the edge of the nest. And mama knows it's time. It's time. It has to venture, it has to go out, it has to be independent, it has to learn how to live, how to fly. And the fledgling, in its apprehension, is holding back. And the mama pushes it from the back with its beak and throws it out of the nest. And the fledgling thinks it's going to die, it's going to fall, and it starts beating its wings until, subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala handles it. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا إِلَى الطَّيْرِ فَوْقَهُمْ صَافَّاتٍ وَيَقْبِضْنَ مَا يُمْسِكُهُنَّ إِلَّا الرَّحْمَنُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala handles it and coaches it and trains it, and instinctively it knows how to fly because Allah gives it that knowledge. So similarly, we see a male lion, the king of the jungle, jostling with his cub, throwing him around, roughhousing, pushing him around. Why? To make a lion out of this cub. The cub will never become a lion until its father deals with him this way, pushes him around, roughhouses with him, mauls him a bit, without hurting him, but giving him that challenge. So these are the lessons that Allah has placed in His creation. And Allah wants us to learn these lessons. We cannot ignore these lessons. We cannot think we know better. Ponder over Allah's creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا طَائِرٍ يَطِيرُ بِجَنَاحَيْهِ إِلَّا أُمَمٌ أَمْثَالُكُمْ. That there's not any creature on earth or any bird flying with its wings in the sky, except that Allah has made communities just like ours. So Allah wants us to take lesson, take heed from these communities, that Insan, you have signs on how you have to raise your children as well, just like they're raising their children. مَا فَرَّطْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ ثُمَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يُحْشَرُونَ. We have not missed out anything in this book. This book has all the answers. The Quran has all the answers. We have to ponder, we have to use our faculties to understand these answers. So what's the answer here? Don't be a helicopter parent. Don't be a micromanaging helicopter parent. We have too many of those. We had an entire generation of those, and the world has suffered from that. Stop doing that. Be a parent the way the Sunnah is to be a parent, and Allah has even taught animals how to be parents. So where do we go wrong? See, a helicopter parent basically believes that the world is out to get my kid, and gee golly whiz, I'm not gonna let that happen. So there's this machismo that I'm going to protect my child. I'm going to insulate them from any sort of inconvenience, any sort of the slightest bit of, harm is a huge word. Yes, we have to protect our kids. Let's not mix up the message, but we overdo it. We become obsessive with it. We feel that we can actually determine their fate even. We become deities in a way. How do we do this? By not letting your kids deal with their own issues, by not letting them learn from their mistakes, by not letting them fight their fights, and I don't mean physical fights, I mean their fights, their challenges in life, not letting them fight their fights, essentially not allowing them to grow up. So helicopter parents, and there are a lot of them, you might think you're not one of them, but there's a good chance you are if you just have to look at the signs. So essentially not allowing them to grow up not allowing them to mature, not allowing them to deal with situations independently, and making their own, understand. We have to give them values, we have to give them principles, we have to guide them in life, but we cannot take over their life. We cannot feel that we have to hover over them all the time like a helicopter, making sure that they're safe from every little inconvenience. And such parents, you'll find this ever-present aggression, and it's palpable. You can feel that aggression. It's mostly passive. Sometimes it becomes active. These parents basically forget that their role is to be an adult, and also to allow their children to grow up as adults. So they forget that they're supposed to be the mature voice in the room, a balanced voice, rather than trying to take over the situation on behalf of their children. They micromanage their children's lives because they want to overdo. They're very pure-hearted. They're very sincere. There's no doubt in the sincerity of these parents. It's their approach is unnatural, against the Sunnah, and it damages themselves. It damages their children. They feel that their role is to insulate their child from anything and everything negative, anything and everything inconvenient. That no loss of any type in their grades, in their competitions, no loss. They should win everything. They should be at the top of everything. These parents end up micromanaging and actually causing more harm to their children and themselves and their relations between each other, and also the relations with the rest of society. You see, others generally don't like to interact and deal with such people. Schools don't like to, teachers don't like to deal with such parents. And what's worse is when it comes to marriage, this doesn't stop, and then there are problems, and it ends up in divorce because they can't let go of their son or their daughter becoming adults and running their own lives. So such parents, what are some signs? They'll even be ready to argue with a teacher for a few marks, for a few a grade. Why did my child not get an A? Why did you take off points here? Well, they'll come to schools and they'll do that. Alhamdulillah, unity, alhamdulillah. We're very blessed with the sort of parents we have, but sometimes we do slip, but generally we don't have such parents. Alhamdulillah, they understand these things. We're very thankful to Allah for the parents at Unity. Such parents might even scold or otherwise retaliate, even sometimes physically, to another child who they might deem has undermined their own child's interest. So they'll even fight with another kid. They'll become, it's funny sometimes, they'll start shouting at another person's child, or they might even hit them, or they might, push them away or pull them away, etc. Because they get so worked up about their own kid, for example, a better seat, my child gets this better seat, they'll do this. And that these are unhealthy signs. If you demonstrate these signs, then it's better that you take care of them yourself. You see, when their children are little, helicopter parents, their children when they're little, they will always come running to their parents at the slightest inconvenience, confident that mommy or daddy will redress the matter and take care of everything. They will, my mommy is going to take care of it. She's going to let you know how bad you are, But as they grow up and they, so first of all, right there, that's a problem. They become spoiled. But then these same children, as they grow up, they're unable to handle adversity or failure. They lack resilience. They lack perseverance. They're not able to get up once they've been knocked down. They can't handle that. They can't they can't persevere. They can't chase their goals consistently with grit and with rigor. They're socially and emotionally stunted. They get social anxiety. They can't give interviews. They can't meet new people. They can't make real friends. They live online lives, social media lives. They're hypersensitive, easily triggered. The slightest thing will get them really riled up. They'll start arguing, or they'll feel it, very deeply. In America they use the term snowflake, that they melt very easily at the slightest thing. They become dependent. They become fearful of everything. They have fear. They can't overcome their fears, and most importantly, they're highly susceptible to various manifestations of anxiety and depression and other forms of mental illness. So if you're being a helicopter parent, look deep inside yourself. Don't deny it. Look for these signs. Don't do it because you are harming your children immensely, and in the long term, this is not good for them. Let them grow up. Let them make mistakes. Let them get scrapes and cuts and bruises. It's okay. Be protective. There's a balance. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has a balance in everything. But we are overdoing it, and we are ruining society by doing that. So let's stop being helicopter parents. Assalamu alaikum.